Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jules Alexander and I'm back with another episode of the Backlot Review. So today's movie is one that I've been waiting for personally for pretty much my entire life. This movie has even been in the making for decades, and that is... That's right, the King of Wakanda is here on the big screen for the first time ever in his own movie. And guys, I just, if you can't tell by my tone in this review so far, this movie has been amazing. I can't, without giving away my final rating or anything, but like, man, I was so excited going into this movie, and man, those excitement levels have obviously maintained since coming out of that movie. So anyway, if you're not familiar with how things go around here, I'm going to give you guys the good, the bad, and I'm going to give you some spoilers, as well as my rating out of 10. And if you're also wondering why I'm wearing these red glasses, is because this is sort of my hyped up video where I give you my first impressions, and then hopefully in about a week or so I'll give my secondary impressions, maybe even talk a little bit more about some things that may have come up over the last couple of weeks that I didn't really think about during this review. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the good.
Your Highness.
Alright, so first of all, the story was just very, very good, very cohesive, very easy to understand and digest everything that was going on, why everything was happening, and you know what was going on. For any questions that you may have had at the beginning of the film, they were definitely answered by the end of the film. I just thought that Ryan Coogler did a very fantastic job keeping everything together and making sure that we get to a certain point at the end of the movie and not have a whole bunch of questions coming out of this movie. And just really like the best thing about this movie is that every single character is so amazing. I mean, I'm not gonna say like anybody's Oscar worthy or anything like that, but just all the actors did a fantastic job playing their characters. And the characters themselves were just so well written and performed. It was just absolutely a blast to see them go from the beginning of this movie to the end of this movie, and just how, you know, kind of how they interact with T'Challa, who we've already sort of gotten a glimpse of in Civil War, and you know, the people that liked him in that were already excited to see him, but now that we get to see all of these Wakandans and how the culture works and everything, which I'll get more into that in a second, but just seeing how all these different characters have been introduced into this movie alone is just amazing. And you know, just the people that surround him, just like Nakia, Shuri, Okoye, they are all just absolutely amazing characters. And a standout character that I personally, knowing from the comic books and other media, I was not expecting him to be very memorable, but M'Baku was just absolutely fantastic in this movie. Oh my god, I could not believe how well they introduced his character into this world, and I'm really glad they didn't go the over-the-top man-ape character that he's usually portrayed as in the comic books and other media that I'm used to. You know, and instead of going for that over-the-topness that he has in those other medias.
Come, Black Panther, and face the man-ape!
He's very much an original character in this movie, and I freaking love him. Of course, I cannot leave this review without talking about the main villain of this movie. Killmonger absolutely killed it, no pun intended. Michael B. Jordan just blew everything out of the water with his performance, and oh man, it's definitely, if not the best Marvel villain, the second best underneath, I would say probably Loki personally, just because we've seen more of Loki and more of his story, but I mean, Eric Killmonger absolutely was incredible as the main villain. And of course, you know, Chadwick came and brought the same sort of appeal to the character that he brought in Civil War, except this time even more expanded. We got more of his character in this movie. You know, it's really hard for me to put Eric Killmonger above T'Challa because I just really enjoyed every single scene that T'Challa was in this movie. I know a lot of people are coming out of this movie saying that Killmonger was their favorite character, but personally, T'Challa just, oh man, I absolutely loved him coming out of this movie, and I cannot wait to see him again in the Avengers and in future Black Panther movies. It's going to be a freaking amazing ride. But yeah, I could sit here all day and talk about the different characters and how they fit into the story and all of that, because they were just that fantastic. But let's go ahead and move on to Wakanda and just how amazing it looks on the screen. And oh my god, they just brought it to life so well, and I absolutely enjoyed learning so much about the culture and about even about the politics. You know, personally, I'm not a huge fan of like politics and all that sort of Game of Thrones type stuff. So going into this movie, I was expecting to not really enjoy most of those things because I knew they were going to be coming with T'Challa being a king and everything. But this movie really made me enjoy the different political aspects of Wakanda, and just the whole culture in general was just absolutely fantastic. And seeing all of this technology in this African country, it just, oh man, it was so amazing to see it all come to life on the big screen for the first time. And just, you know, I'm talking everything from like how people interact in the city to how the different warrior factions work throughout Wakanda, you know, with the Dora Milaje, just all of that. It was so fascinating to see. And definitely like a couple of my favorite scenes were these scenes on this sort of waterfall plateau where we see who will become the next king of Wakanda, or the next ruler of Wakanda by trial of combat. And just seeing all of that was even fascinating, and how all of that works was just absolutely incredible to see how they built up this world. But yeah, Wakanda is definitely its very own character in this movie, and I cannot wait to see how it evolves in the future. And then the last thing I'm going to say that was good about this movie was that the message and just how the story wraps up is just absolutely amazing. I cannot believe how strong of a message this movie has. And, you know, going back to my love of Killmonger, you know, his motivations were so relatable. And, you know, I kind of tend to agree with what he had to say. You know, obviously I don't agree with his methods and what he was doing in the movie, but whenever he was talking and what he was talking about, did I kind of nod and agree with? You bet. And I know a lot of people that are feeling the same way, you know. And again, I think that's what makes him such a great villain, is that his story, his motivations are so relatable, but at the same time, it's his methods that make him the bad guy, that make him the villain. But yeah, I just think that this is an amazingly impactful movie, and it's so inspiring and uplifting to see this sort of movie coming from, you know, a cast and a director of color, and how all of it relates to all these personal and modern day issues of, you know, issues of race and politics of race and all of that. And, you know, the very end of the movie, it ends with just a super strong image and a super strong message that I cannot wait to show my kids one day. And, you know, I hope that there are more movies like this that I can show my kids someday. That's how incredible I thought that this message was by the end of the movie. Alright, so that was the good. Now let's go ahead and jump into the bad real quick.
We haven't met yet. I'm Clint.
I don't care.
Now, as far as bad goes, I really didn't find too much bad about this movie, personally. I know that a couple people come out online saying that there's some things wonky with, like, CGI or with green screen, but personally, I didn't notice those, so those aren't gonna go against my review in any way. But there were just a couple of minor plot holes in there that I thought could have been fixed. Yeah, I think my main only question was whatever happened to Queen Ramonda before or after the big battle at the end of the movie. You know, hopefully I'm not giving anything away here, but she's kind of left to be watched by the Jabari tribe after some things happen, and that's about it. That's all we see of Angela Bassett's character, and, you know, I kind of would like to see her kind of return home. Maybe I missed something at the very end where maybe she's sitting in the throne room or something, but really that's the only, like, big plot thing that I had, at least that I can talk about without spoiling anything. So speaking of spoilers, let's just go ahead and jump into our spoiler section. So one of the big sort of story things that happens at the end of the movie is that Wakanda goes public, and it's actually kind of a mid-credit scene where T'Challa shows up in, you know, the UN, and he's talking about it's time for Wakanda to come out of the shadows, and of course a politician stands up and he's like, you know, what does this third world country have to offer the rest of the world? And, you know, T'Challa gives that smile like, you have no idea. And even Everett Ross kind of smiles back at him and is like, yeah, they have no idea what this country can really do for the world. And, you know, you can kind of tell, like, that's going to be a pretty big deal coming into the future of this movie and of this character, and sort of how he plays a role in the political, you know, rest of the world instead of just in Wakanda. I feel like that's how we're going to sort of progress with this character from now on. You know, in this movie we saw him in his politics within Wakanda and, you know, balancing that and being a superhero. Now he's going to have to balance all of that and balance his politics for the rest of the world. Is he going to be an ambassador at the UN? What's going to happen with the vibranium that's all in Wakanda. So yeah, that's something to look forward to in future Black Panther movies. But then we also have the destruction of the heart-shaped herb, which gives T'Challa his powers as the Black Panther. And you know, that's really something that I really don't have a clear insight to in terms of, you know, what can come about that in the future. You know, can they even grow more of that heart-shaped herb? Is T'Challa the last Black Panther? So yeah, we'll just wait and see. Personally, I just think that they could probably grow more, but there may have been something in the movie that says otherwise. I'm not sure, so we'll just have to see how that comes up in later movies. So then we have a couple of deaths that are made to the movie. We have the death of Ulysses Claw, sort of towards the third act of the movie. He is killed by Killmonger, who sort of turns his back on him or something like that. It wasn't really clear why he, you know, was sort of palling around with Claw this whole time, and then all of a sudden he kills him. I get why he killed him, that makes perfect sense, but I don't understand why he was working with him before all of that, and why he broke him out of prison and all of that stuff. So yeah, maybe kind of chalk that up to another plot hole that I was sort of missing in my bad section. But just overall for Claw, I know I didn't really talk about him much in the rest of my review, but I kind of enjoyed his character. I'm probably not going to miss him, especially since it was clear that they were not going with the whole, you know, red suit and weird sonic power sort of thing. They were just really doing a more subtle version of Claw. You know, I feel like he served his purpose to the Black Panther mythos in this universe, so I'm not all that broken up about his death. Now, the other death that I'm talking about, Killmonger, I am going to be sad to see him go, because again, where Loki kind of has a leg up over Killmonger is that we've just seen more of Loki, and we've seen more of that back and forth between him and Thor. I would have liked to have seen that in the future with Killmonger, kind of going back and forth with T'Challa, maybe even teaming up in later movies or something like that. But you know, it's really sad to see him go. Especially since he was just such an amazing villain. But at the end of the day, his death scene was probably one of the most beautiful scenes in the entire movie, and just the little message that he has at the very end was so impactful. And the last thing I'm going to hit on with spoilers is that at the after credit scene, we get Bucky finally waking up in a hut in, you know, somewhere in Wakanda. But he wakes up and he's missing his arm still from Civil War, and it's clear that Shuri has been working on him for a while, and it's actually mentioned early on in the movie, you know, which kind of has this one-liner about helping another one, and you know, if you were listening close enough, you could pick up on that. But yeah, he's waking up, and you know, it seems like he's feeling right in his mind. He's feeling a little bit better from when we last saw him. You know, Shuri's like, yeah, we have some stuff to tell you, and things kind of pick up where they left off at the end of Civil War. I thought that was really cool to see that as an after credit scene, and I'm really glad that, I know a lot of fans were probably looking forward to seeing Bucky in the story at some point, but I'm actually really glad that they stuck with this little nod, and that's really all we needed. Alright, so that was a lot to unpack, but this movie was just absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to see it again and again and again in the near future. So let's go ahead and wrap up this review. I'm going to go ahead and give Black Panther a solid 10 out of 10 heart-shaped herbs. I am just so excited about this movie, and I'm just absolutely proud of how well this movie is doing. I've been rooting for this movie ever since we saw Black Panther in Civil War, and oh man, I cannot believe how well received this movie has been. I'm not surprised at all, but I'm also just very excited about its success. And but yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to Ryan Coogler and to Marvel Studios for making this movie. It was just absolutely incredible how well this movie did and is continuing to do as we move through the rest of this month. It's just overwhelmingly incredible. So yeah, if you've seen the movie already, let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments down below. And if you haven't seen the movie, what's wrong with you? Like, get out there and go see it. Everybody's seeing it and everybody's loving it. So just go out there and see it. You know, make up your own mind about it. You know, don't let my review sway you into seeing it or not seeing it. So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring this review to a close. Make sure you guys go out there and live fearlessly.